Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Toronto Police Headquarters. Today, Chief Superintendent Mandeep Mann of Field Services will be providing an update on distraction-style thefts across Toronto and sharing safety tips to help prevent people from falling victim to these thefts. Following his remarks, the Chief Superintendent will be available to take questions from the media. Chief Superintendent?
Thank you, and good morning. Thank you for joining us here today. Today, I want to talk about the growing issue of distraction thefts in our city and what we're seeing and how people can protect themselves. As many of you know, our community safety indicators in Toronto have gone down considerably in 2025. Firearm activity is down by 40%, homicides are down by 56%, and auto thefts by 33%. Now, the one exception is theft, which is showing a year-over-year increase. So with distraction thefts in particular, there have been 374 reported incidents so far this year, compared to just 28 all of last year. And we know these crimes are often underreported. So a distraction theft occurs when a suspect diverts a victim's attention in order to steal something, whether it's a phone, wallet, jewelry, or other valuables. These suspects typically work in pairs, sometimes even involving children, with one person creating the distraction while the other takes the property. Now, while distraction thefts are concerning on their own, what is even more troubling is the increasing level of violence suspects are using against their victims. So here's what we know about these crimes. Suspects are targeting individuals between the ages of 60 and 90 who are alone and often wearing jewelry. They're targeting their victims mostly through the week in the mid-morning to mid-afternoon, in commercial parking lots, on city streets, and even on the victim's property. Suspects often remain in vehicles, which makes identification difficult. Victims, primarily elderly, are often left in shock, limiting their ability to provide accurate descriptions. Now, some common distraction tactics that are reported include the suspects asking for directions, pretending to need help, starting an argument or causing a scene, spilling something on the victim, offering to sell or gift jewelry, or asking the victim to pray with them. Now, I want to take a moment to show you two videos demonstrating distraction theft in action. So I'll direct your attention to the screen to my right. Now, as you can see, the victim at the bottom of your screen in the blue shirt is standing in a commercial parking lot when he's approached by this vehicle that's reversing in. The suspect, a passenger in the rear of the vehicle, calls the victim over and strikes up a conversation. She asks for directions to the nearest Walmart and says that it's her birthday, which in her culture means she should gift him a gift. The suspect then hands the victim a ring and leans in for a hug, placing their arms around the victim's neck. So the vehicle quickly drives away, and it's only then that the victim realizes their necklace is missing. You'll see that as it plays out. So, in the next video, you'll see a vehicle stopped in the top left corner in front of the TTC bus, which is actually in front of the victim's home. So the suspect, a passenger of the vehicle, asks for directions to the nearest mosque and tells the victim to pray for his sick mother. So that's occurring just by the vehicle, and like I said, it's right up front of the victim's home. The suspect then begins putting rings and necklaces on the victim. The victim attempts to cover his own necklaces with his right arm. And so the suspect then grabs the victim's arm, pulls the victim's necklace off his neck, and attempts to grab his watch. So that's when a struggle ensues and the suspect drives off, dragging the victim along. So you'll see that here. So these suspects prey on the politeness and helpfulness of Torontonians that are. To combat the rise in distraction thefts across the city, 42 Division in the east and 23 Division in the west will be working together to lead targeted investigations into these crimes. As part of this collaboration, there will be increased patrols in commercial, residential, and high traffic areas, and targeted education in settings which are frequented by seniors. We take distraction theft seriously and will work to identify links and apprehend those responsible for committing these crimes which target vulnerable people in our city. Before I take your questions, I want to offer the public a few tips to protect themselves from distraction theft. So first, be aware of your surroundings, especially in crowded areas. Keep your purses, backpacks, or other bags zipped up. Be cautious if you're approached by strangers, especially if their behavior is odd or overly engaging. The suspects are targeting victims who appear trusting and helpful. If someone is close enough to put a necklace on you, they're way too close. Avoid placing valuables on tables or hanging bags on chairs in public places. And we're asking businesses to be vigilant. If you see behavior like we've described, please report it to us. If you've been a victim of a distraction theft or if someone has attempted one, please report it to us or Crime Stoppers. Your reports, including any suspect or vehicle descriptions, will help us find the people behind these crimes. Thank you, and I'll now take any questions you may have.
Superintendent, it sounds like there's a rise not just in Toronto, but really across the GTA, maybe across the province in these distraction thefts. Can you speak to maybe what's driving that since, 374 this year, just 28 last year? That's quite alarming.
Indeed, it's alarming, and yes, so that is an upwards trend that we are seeing across the GTA. So we are working with our partners across the GTA to really pinpoint, what has caused this spike, and to identify the folks that are behind these crimes.
How common is it to actually catch the perpetrators of these crimes to make sure that they're solved?
We have made a few arrests, but as you can see in the videos, it is challenging because many times the victims don't realize they've actually been victimized until after the perpetrators are gone. And they are targeting seniors, right, who are helpful most times and appear to be approachable. So, and like I said, because many times the suspects are seated in vehicles, it even makes the description that much more difficult, and they're hidden away from a camera as well.
Are these separate incidents, or are they, one particular or particular groups working, across these, hundreds of incidents? Is it just different people? Or
Yeah, we believe it is organized crime groups, right? That's where we're at right now. But again, as we continue to investigate, we continue to learn more and more, and that's why we're appealing to the public to please call us if they've been victimized or if they believe there was an attempt to be victimized.
Can you also speak to maybe how, disappointing and insidious it is that they're targeting the most vulnerable people in our community?
Yeah, like you said, disappointing, despicable. They're targeting the most vulnerable people in our communities, those that, the elderly who are wearing jewelry, right, and who are susceptible to be approached, to have conversations. Those are the folks that are being victimized. So it is concerning for us and alarming.
When we're talking about the things that are stolen, we're saying jewelry, phones, those kinds of things. What's like the average monetary amount that is being stolen from people? How serious is this affecting people's lives beyond just the theft itself, but also the value of the items?
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely a dollar figure you can, I mean, the victims can put behind this, as can we. But the reality is a lot of this is also the shock of being victimized in this manner, right? And it's also embarrassing. And that's the other concern that we have, that many times a lot of these incidents are underreported because people do feel embarrassed that they were victimized and just don't want to say anything.
So it seemed to me in the first instance, the license plate was blacked out somehow. Is this an ongoing problem as well, that you can't actually see what the license plate is with?
Yeah, so they use all kinds of tactics because they're well aware, particularly approaching in commercial parking lots, that there are cameras in place. So they will hide any type of identifiers, license plates being one. So, you know, that's an active investigation that's ongoing. Actually, both of them are. So we haven't made arrests in either of those incidences. But that is generally the trend that we're seeing.
Where are these items ending up? Just anywhere, like Facebook Marketplace to, I don't know, physical markets anywhere in the city? Like, where is this stuff ending up? And is there any way to tell, you know, that you're purchasing something from a theft?
Yeah, I mean, most times, and what we've been talking about for a long time is if folks are making purchases through third parties and not in an established, reputable establishment, if the price is too good to be true, it often is too good. And we are actually appealing to the public as well to, you know, to mark their property, either take pictures, record serial numbers, so that if and when it is recovered, it's easily identifiable.
Anything else?
How often are you recovering what you believe to be stolen goods?
I mean, like I said, pertaining to distraction thefts, our 23 division in the west and 42 division in the east are leading these investigations. So we are actively recovering property. Sometimes it does become a challenge just to actually find the rightful owner. But again, you know, we also have some break-and-enters in the city or other property that's obtained by crime. Identifying exactly where they came from becomes a challenge. Hence why we're asking for folks to actually put identifiers on their property.
Where are these crimes happening the most? Just, you know, shopping malls, TTC? Like, are there certain locations that you've really identified? Okay, this is like always happening here.
So this is a citywide problem, hence why we have picked two locations, one in the east, one in the west. But if you're talking about specific locations per se, commercial parking lots seems to be a place. And I mean, the reality is largely where seniors frequent, right? And also why we are pushing an educational piece to this whole initiative is that, yes, we're looking for those and will apprehend those that are victimizing our elderly, but also there's an education piece so we can ensure that our folks, our seniors, are educated on this topic and are not as easily victimized.
Are you working with other partners outside of TPS? I know YRP and Peel have also released similar statements about this. Is this something that you're speaking about with other services?
We are. So, I mean, we're regularly working with our policing partners because, as you know, most know that a lot of these crimes, particularly this one, doesn't have any borders. So we share intelligence and we work closely together.
Anything else? Thanks, everyone.
Thank you very much.